Welcome to Dental Success Beyond Chairside, the podcast that is dedicated to revolutionising the way dental professionals succeed beyond the dental chair. Join us for a unique blend of insightful interviews with industry experts and valuable tidbits of information to help you thrive in your dental specialist practice. In each 20-minute episode, we'll delve into a variety of topics, including HR, marketing, innovative techniques and systems, and AI, to help you transform your practice and unlock its full potential. Whether you're a dentist, specialist, or oral health therapist looking to enhance your practice, this podcast is your go-to resource for professional, personal, and profitable success. Get ready to go beyond the dental chair and discover what lies ahead in your practice journey with dental success beyond chairside. Hello and welcome to Dental Success Beyond Chairside. Today, this episode will be a little bit different. I'd like to speak about practice management systems. Over the next two episodes, I will be interviewing popular practice management systems in Australia. To make it fair to everybody, we've asked set questions which we have given to each of the practice management systems. Each will be given 10 minutes to speak, so this will be over two episodes. So we will have a total of 30 minutes for each episode. Why have we done this? Practice management systems are so important. I think a lot of people see them as just a booking system, but the amount of data that you can extrapolate, the ways to grow your practice using these systems are infinite. How you present treatment plans, how you communicate with your patients. There is so much that can be done. What I find when I've been going into dental practices is that a lot of time and effort might have been taken initially to choose the practice management system, but it hasn't evolved over time. Maybe the person who learnt, or when you had your practice and everybody learnt what to do, people have left. So that's like a Chinese whispers. When somebody comes on board, they're taught how to use the system from a person that has been using it. People aren't being kept updated with the system, so new things are being implemented within practice management systems, but they're not actually getting to the practice for them to actually do it, to make things more effective and more efficient. I'm also finding that, especially now with a shortage of dental people, and especially Dental4Windows, which has been around for a long time, a lot of people say you have to have Dental4Windows experience. The people I see with experience coming in, they don't really know how to use it because they've had those Chinese whispers taken along. Hence, with this systems series, I wanted to showcase to our listeners the most popular practice management systems in Australia, and then that can help them make an informed decision about keeping with theirs, upgrading theirs, perhaps going on to something new, or for new practice owners who are looking at what practice management to use. It's just a snippet from each one, and I really hope that it can help you make a decision within your dental practice, or at least to think about continued training for your team and to implement new systems that you may not be aware of. I really hope this helps. Thanks so much, and I hope you get something out of the next two episodes. Bye. Today, I introduce our first guest, Sean Perera from Centaur Software Development. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sean, and it's great to have you here to share what Dental4Web can do for practices.
Thank you for having me, Michelle. It's wonderful to be here.
Sean is a technology leader with over 2 decades in dental practice management software. Today, he'd like to discuss how dental practice management software is transforming daily operations, specifically with the Dental4Web platform. Sean, what sets your system apart in helping dental practices streamline business operations?
Great question, Michelle. As you know, Dental4Windows, the sister product of Dental4Web, has been the market leader for almost 3 decades. So our Dental4Web solution is backed by over 32 years of experience in the Australian dental sector, developed from the ground up to reflect the real-world workflows of a local practice. We continually evolved alongside the Australian dental industry to ensure Dental4Web accurately represents the current market landscape and delivers functionality our dental practices truly need.
So if people are on Dental4Windows, can they upgrade to Dental4Web?
Absolutely. We always prioritize our Windows users who would like to stay in the family. It is a very seamless process.
Excellent. There's obviously critical areas in practice management now that a lot of consultants and business people worldwide are saying that you need to track things, treatment conversions, productivity of each practitioner, even things like referral sources, so understanding where you should put your marketing dollars. Can you explain a little bit about Dental4Web and what you've done with regard to analytics?
Absolutely. Analytics is a subject close to my heart because I'm a data analyst by trade. In Dental4Web, we have three main ways to gain insights from the system. The first one being our extensive reporting suite that lets you track the effectiveness of your referral sources over any period. You can track the production from referral sources over a number of periods, not just for the period the patient was referred in. Anything that you need to run a dental business, reporting suite has got that covered. Then the second one we have is our powerful query functionality that lets you query your database in various ways to suit your custom needs to get the most knowledge out of your system. Last but not least, we've got our Practice Insights dashboard suite that has over 58 charts across 8 dashboards that cover everything from clinician production, utilization, hourly rates, per patient rates, daily rates, to practice administration. Then last dashboard we have is online booking dashboard that really gives practices an idea of who's booking at what time for which appointment. That way the practice can very strategically expose their book online and still have that great control over your appointment book.
Wow. We'll just go on to patient management now. How does your system simplify appointment booking and patient communication?
Right. I'll start with appointment booking. We have our e-services platform that links the same way with Dental4Windows, links with Dental4Web, and provides the patients a very seamless experience to search and book appointments and get real-time availabilities from the practice database. In certain cases, if the practice has configured their appointment book, online appointment book, in a particular way, you can even offer your patients a quick booking mode. So you can do a one-click and you can make an appointment, which is done through our patient portal. Patient can sign up for our e-services portal with their practice. They can keep track of their previous appointments and upcoming appointments. Having our e-support e-appointment platform enables patients and practices to have that peace of mind that your patients can book appointments very quickly. When it comes to patient communication, we have gone beyond your traditional appointment reminder system. This was in Dental4Windows as well, but we've enhanced that for Dental4Web. Automation engine assists you to automate your entire patient communication journey from the time they book an appointment, whether they book online or even on the phone. You can configure the system to automatically send them a calendar reminder to save that into their calendar. We have given our practices all the tools from which they can choose what they would like to use to communicate with their patients.
And there's multiple, or you're not limited to the amount of automations you have.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. What features enhance clinical workflows such as treatment planning and templates?
As you know, Michelle, Dental4Windows, Dental4Web was designed by a dentist, founder, still works to this day. He was a practicing dentist, Dr. Frank, up until about 2 or 3 years ago. Dental4Web's clinical workflows, they mirror the entire patient journey within a practice, from the time you take x-rays and any other intraoral shots and you analyze them. It is designed, even the screen order is designed to make sure people can perform their work without having to think about it. If you have a new staff member or temp in, you don't have to spend a lot of time training them. It is intuitive. It has been tailored for our Australian dental practices by people who have worked at dental practices.
Sean, can I just interrupt there? Just with regard to that, that's great, having that workflow, being able to follow it with everything there. Presenting that to the patient, does Dental4Web have something where it brings everything together to be able to put that into a format for presentation to the patient?
Absolutely. We do have a presentation feature where you can pull your treatment images, your treatment plans, and even in some cases, if people would like to, their quick notes, they can bring that all in to create a presentation for their patients, so the patient can make an informed decision. Once the patient agrees to the treatment plan, you can have that digitally signed by the patient, and that gets automatically saved into their file.
Now, obviously, ease of training, onboarding, if people were for Dental for Windows, they wanted to go over to Dental4Web. Can you give me a bit of an idea about that, please, Sean?
We have multiple modes of training and onboarding, especially when it comes to training. We have our e-learning platform, which is an award-winning learning center developed by some world-class educators with our in-house training specialists to create modules that the practice can log into, their users can log into, and they can complete certain modules. We've got over 200 hours worth of training in our e-learning center platform. If you have no prior experience in Dental for Windows, Dental4Web, you can still go in and you can learn everything. If you have been using Dental for Windows, you can come and brush up your skills and just understand what is different. Then we do very tailored training. We do on-site training. We do online training. We spend a lot of time with the practice to understand how the practice works. And we are very fortunate. About 90% of our trainers are ex-practice managers or ex-senior receptionists. They know the stress and the pressure a practice is under. They make sure that the practice is covered for those scenarios. Then we have our eSupport knowledge base that has over 2,000 articles. Also, we have a webinar series. Every week we run a webinar. Okay. And that gives our users the ability to either sign up for it, get the recording and watch it later, or participate live and ask questions and get answers on the spot. One last thing before we do anything, especially if a practice transitions from Dental for Windows, we do a comprehensive health check of the database to understand what they're using, what they are not using, and what they're using but using poorly. We try to make sure that our users are current with their knowledge. We also have social media groups where our trainers are actively answering people's questions.
Excellent. So finally, Sean, just in one sentence, why should a practice choose Dental4Web?
I'd say it is our unwavering commitment to the betterment of the Australian dental industry, and the fact that we back our solution with an award-winning support and learning network, which is as important as the features in a system. You need to have that support network. Now, just to reiterate that point, Michelle, it's very important that the practice feels that if they're stuck, they can ring up and they can get that support, because you can have all these bells and whistles in a platform, but if you don't have the support when you need it, then it's as good as not having any support.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, sharing about Dental4Web. For more information about Sean and Centaur Software, please see our show notes. Thank you so much for joining us, Sean. Really appreciate chatting to you. I have
Thanks
been
for having me. Thank you for having me.
See you. Bye.
Bye, Michelle.
I'm pleased to introduce our guest, Scott Rotton from Zavy 360. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode, Scott. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me on board. Pleasure to be here.
Excellent. Scott is an experienced innovator in dental technology sector and the driving force behind Zavy 360, a modern web-based practice management system designed to reshape the dental industry's approach to patient care and operational efficiency. Scott, can you just let us know what sets your system apart in helping dental practices streamline business operations?
I guess when we designed Zavy 360, we didn't want to just be a cookie-cut solution of a practice management software. We wanted to build the first practice management ecosystem designed around not just dental practices, but also patients as well. Knowing that from the get-go, we designed the app from the ground up to be cloud-based with two apps, one for the patient, which is a dedicated mobile app, and one for the practice. But both of those apps combined allow a more streamlined experience, and it helps give the practice and the patient better results. There's more convenience for the patient because they can manage them and their family's health from within the app. Because of this, patient acceptance as far as treatment plans goes, it is better and higher. You've got the ability for patients to really consider treatment plans before they sign them, because they can do it from the comfort of their own home and not when they're pressured into things in the chair. But it's also gives the practice a direct access into the patient's sort of pocket to allow for a more efficient and streamlined communication between the two solutions. The reason we call it an ecosystem is not just because of those two apps. It goes further than that. An example is most practice management systems have a calendar or some sort of invoicing and treatment plans, but there's a bigger part to building a successful practice than just those components. For instance, we've just released an additional module, which again, I think we're the first to market to for an internal software, and that is the patient feedback and review system. This is designed to help patient retention, but it's a double-edged sword, because not only does it help retain existing patients, it helps you go to market faster and be more prominent in public listings like Google when your credibility gets higher via the reviews. That system was designed at the end of an appointment to trigger a questionnaire or a review system. If the patient leaves a good review, it will send them or direct them to Google and allow them to leave a review if they want. But if they leave a bad feedback, it notifies the staff to say, hey, something went wrong with this appointment, go fix it, and hopefully retain that patient. That's why we call it an ecosystem, building different modules that go above and beyond.
Excellent. Now, key metrics and analytics, that's quite a big thing for consultants like us. How does your system track and report on critical measures like the treatment conversions that you were talking about, practitioner productivity, referrals, that type of thing?
Again, when we were building this system, we were looking at what's in the market. Obviously, I've been doing it for a substantial amount of time. There's normally products fall into two categories. They fall into the simple to use and basic, where you get a report where it gives you a set of data, and that's what it gives you. You can't really get anything outside of that, which is fine for some businesses. And then you get the other side of the coin where you can get anything you want out of this system, but you need to have sort of a degree in programming. It's very difficult to find something that treads the fine line between giving us what we need, but in a format that actually makes it easy enough to get that data out. So knowing this, we track all the standard metrics, patient acceptance, rebook rates per practitioner, production, all of that. But we also give them in a base report, which can then be further customized. For instance, if you wanted to look at, say, a patient drop-offs or churn report. Now, when people come over to us from other systems that have had data in there for 20 odd years, up to thousands of patients, our system, we don't just want to target thousands of patients because it's kind of pointless. So what we were trying to do is be able to really pinpoint the demographic and the data that we want out of that report. You just put a date range in there. We want to find all the patients where their last visit was between this year and 4 years ago. That's reduced decades worth of old appointments. We can have lots of different filters, and
so essentially you can tailor what each practice is looking for in their metric systems and put through filters accordingly. Is that right?
Exactly. And then you just press the save button, and that's your own custom report for the practice.
Now, how does your system simplify appointment booking and patient communication? You have touched a little bit on the patient communication before.
When we were designing the calendar, on the surface, we were like, calendars have been around for many years. We looked at the data, we built the standard calendar system, and one of the latest improvements that we made was the smart scheduling system. So we found that some practices, or many practices, like to have pre-blocks. They like to have specific appointments go in specific blocks of time, and finding those slots can be quite challenging. When we were analysing the data, we found that one of our bigger practices was taking about 8 to 10 minutes per appointment, flicking through the calendar, trying to find those slots. We worked with our different providers and decided on a solution that would kind of reduce that to almost instant. What we tried to do is to make the suggestions instant without any clicks. For instance, what we built is when you right-click a patient to reschedule the appointment, instead of you then having to use the interface to search for the appointment, a drawer just pops out automatically and shows the best time slots based on that patient, their original appointment, who the patient was with and what it was for. And then you simply press one button to go in and go to that slot and book it in. So instead of clicking and using an interface to search, we now do that automatically for you. That's just kind of one way that we built the app to help speed things along. Now, if you're doing that hundreds of times a week, you can imagine how much time it's saved for that particular business.
Yep, no, that's really great. With regard to clinical workflow support, what features enhance clinical workflow? You did allude to treatment planning and the templates before. Can you just enlighten us a little bit more on that, please, Scott?
We designed the app to have workflows. So everyone's got a role, but the challenging part is not every business has the same role. If you're a really small business, you might wear tons of different hats, and your workflow might be very different to someone that's a much larger business, has got a treatment plan coordinator, and people that do very specific things within an organization. When we design the system, we try to find workflows that interact with each other that can be accessed and done from different parts of the system, depending on the level of growth that you're at during the stage of your business. As far as treatment planning goes, the thing that we wanted to do first was we designed everything around the patient app. So when you're sending a dental chart or a treatment plan to a patient app, they need to understand everything that's in that treatment plan. If you send them a chart and it's got lots of little icons in it that all look the same and the little square boxes, they don't know what that means. What we try to do is create a very realistic looking dental chart where you can identify the teeth in the mouth by the way that they look. We made the chart shapes look like what they would in the mouth. So if you put a cracked tooth in there, we would put a little crack in there. Little things like that go a long way to helping patients understand treatment plans without the need to continually contact doctors, which saves efficiency. It also helps with patient acceptance. Now, because we've got this super realistic looking dental chart, we create a treatment plan using presets and other time-saving tools. We then need to send that to the patient. Now, traditionally, you might print that off and get them to sign it, which is still viable for some people. But you may also want to send that via SMS, which a patient can receive in their phone without downloading an app. Email, which patients still use sometimes. And now the latest generation, which is an app in the phone, which almost everyone's got a phone with apps in it. Patients and users in general just know how to use apps. That goes straight into their phone. They can view it. They can sign it. That signature then gets stamped on the treatment plan at the practice and gets shown to the practitioners. We record the patients that accepted it via the patient app, and work can begin on that. So we've got automatic treatment plan acceptance via the app. To create those treatment plans, we decided that because we work with a lot of specialists and practitioners that provide really high-end dental work, they wanted a very professional looking document. We looked at the market, and there wasn't any cloud-based systems that we could see where you could do simple things like have page sizes. When you want to print something off, most cloud-based apps don't understand what a page size is. And we rebuilt it to include things like page headers, page sizes. You can now insert live x-rays from the patient's mouth or pictures from a DSLR camera into the document to help further personalize it. You can put pictures in there. You can draw on the pictures and annotate on them. We can also grab thousands of data points from the patient and insert them to a document. Not just the chart will say what issues are on a patient's mouth. You will have a legend that goes underneath it, which will say cracked tooth and some information about it. So that can all be automatically inserted into the documents as well. That's just a really helpful tool in helping get patients to understand the plan and get it over the line.
Yeah, that's good. Obviously, training and onboarding, if people are changing from different systems, what sort of onboarding and support do you offer?
We offer a training academy. It's got hundreds of training videos, all separated into sections. We offer a hybrid solution. So that means once staff have looked at the training videos, they can send a report to owners to show who's done the training videos, what scores they got, and if they're ready to onboard. And then we do something like we're doing now, where we do like live calls before, after, and much further after. Sometimes we'll have meetings 6 months, 12 months, 2 years after onboarding, just to see how they're getting on, what improvements can we make to the system, because it's a community built system. We get advice from everyone and build it. That's how we operate. We do it on a feedback loop system.
Okay. Excellent. And in one sentence, Scott, why should a practice choose Zavy 360?
In the 3 years that we've been around, we've built arguably one of the most advanced cloud-based practice management systems in the market. We've also, during that time, been building patient apps and AI features to go with that. We have no intentions of slowing down in the future. I guess if people want to use our system and want to be a part of how practices are defined for the next 40 years rather than the previous 40 years, then they should reach out to us.
Thank you so much for sharing about Zavy 360 today, Scott. It was a pleasure having you on. For more information about Scott, Zavy 360, social media profiles and website, please see our show notes. Thank you so much again, Scott. It was fabulous hearing all about it, and I wish you every success in the future. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I'm pleased to introduce our next guest, Charles Garde, representing Dentally Practice Management System. Charles is a training consultant with Henry Schein One, having worked previously with brands such as Samsung and Telstra. Charles believes impactful training should never feel like training, and with his passion for learning and development, strives to deliver memorable learning experiences. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode, Charles. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for the opportunity, Michelle. Really excited to talk to your listeners about Dentally.
Fantastic. All right, so we'll just go over a few questions. Just with regard to the system overview, Charles, what sets Dentally apart in helping dental practices streamline business operations?
Look, we understand that practices are always on the lookout for ways to improve the way they work so they can focus on what really matters, which is delivering the best service and oral care to their patients. At Henry Schein One, we have up to 40 years of experience of developing and refining our software products to ensure that a PMS like Dentally seamlessly fits into their everyday workflows, no matter which role they have in the practice. Dentally is built for what the dental industry demands are today, as well as being flexible for whichever direction it goes into the future. It's heavily inspired by the successful Henry Schein One PMSs that have come before it, and that have led the market for up to 40 years in Oasis and Exact. This means the features and workflows in Dentally will look and feel very familiar, while having an interface that is more in line with today's landscape. Dentally is built on the latest technologies emerging in this space, such as cloud, to offer flexibility on how a practice operates, as well as AI that offers new ways of working. This is all backed by a huge developer network located abroad, as well as right here across Australia and New Zealand. We have a constant stream of updates and new features, minimal downtime, and changes according to user feedback or the changes in the market. Dentally as a software product will always feel fresh and modern. Add to that the decades of experience in software and dental that Henry Schein One has, and you can be confident that Dentally will have everything that the industry needs.
Okay, just with regard to metrics and analytics, Charles, how does your system track and report on critical metrics like treatment conversions, practitioner productivity, referral sources, that type of thing, please?
Look, the industry is facing some tough times across the board. More and more practices are finding difficulties in customer return rates and locking in high-value treatment. It is vital that your PMS system can assist in not only offering great patient care, but growing your business so you can see more patients, which in turn can lead to greater revenues. It is more important than ever that the PMS can record and produce the data you need to really start growing your business. With Dentally, it begins with its unique orchestrated onboarding process, which assigns an onboarding success manager that assists in the setup of their practice dentally. It reduces a lot of the stress when changing over to a new PMS and offers a smooth experience for setting up payment, digital imaging, online booking, and other software integrations. This sets the foundation of recording the data you will need to be successful and to start growing. The practice is then handed over to their customer success consultant through the Elevate program, which provides the practice their very own personal business consultant. The CSC works with the practice to go through Dentally's inbuilt reporting to identify opportunities to reduce wasteful running costs, overcoming appointment book challenges, and offers best marketing practice to help grow your brand, open more chairs, and potentially expand into more sites. Finally, MPC, or My Practice Cloud, takes the raw data that comes out of Dentally and makes it easy for practices to digest key metrics such as income, product sales, failure to attend rates, waiting time, and much, much more.
I think with any practice management system, it's always the output that you receive is the input in. So yeah, very good. Okay. With regard to patient management, Charles, how does your system simplify appointment booking and patient communication, please?
Look, staff shortages is one of the leading pain points felt throughout the industry. So it's important that the staff that is available are being utilized efficiently and to avoid unnecessary time-consuming tasks. At the same time, though, patient communication is the backbone of any dental practice. If the patient doesn't know they need to come in, then they won't. It's important that a practice be in constant contact. However, this can be a truly time-consuming task that takes up a lot of the staff's day. This is where Dentally really shines, as it is built to maximize attendance and patient return rates through its extensive automated communications. This does more than just generate lists for reception staff to chase up, and will instead send personalized SMS and emails through the system. It is truly automated, which frees up staff to chase other revenue opportunities such as overdue recalls, unbooked treatment, or missed appointments. Your customer success consultant through Elevate will work with you to help customize your automatic scheduled communications to maximize effectiveness, then help you review its effectiveness using the data that comes out of Dentally. Lastly, Dentally also simplifies patient communications with its centralized correspondence. Each patient has their correspondence in their own file, which makes finding conversations, emails, texts, documents, and digital prescriptions easy, instead of having reception use up their valuable time to search separate services to find what they're looking for.
Okay. With regard to clinical workflow support, Charles, what features enhance clinical workflows such as treatment planning, templates, that type of thing, please?
Dental care is seeing massive innovations as the technology that powers it improve and develop. Any practice would want to make sure that the PMS that they're investing into is able to provide not only the basics of delivering oral hygiene today, but the ability to stay up to date with whatever new technologies and products come into the industry. When it comes to the clinical workflow, Dentally uses treatment plan templates, clinical note templates, and flexible charting solutions to ensure the practitioner utilizes their time with the patient efficiently and avoids spending more time on the computer than with the patient. But where Dentally really begins to separate itself is using the latest technology to increase the efficiency both inside and outside of the surgery. For digital imaging, our Dentally Vision integration uses cloud, So you can work on a patient chart with access to their digital images anywhere in the world, as if you're still in the surgery. We also use AI in meaningful ways, like our AI-powered clinical diagnosis tool, which highlights issues on the digital images you take, so it's easier to educate patients on their issues and potentially increase treatment acceptance. Then there is the constant stream of updates from our vast development team to further improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the clinical workflow. In the last few months alone, we have added an improved root charting and socket diagnosis to the chart, as well as age-based predictive mixed dentition powered by AI to reduce the need to utilize precious time to chart mixed dentition. The clinical workflow also extends outside of just the surgery. With internal communication features like pop-up notes, live chat, and tasks, Dentally enables every team member throughout the practice to provide stellar and consistent oral care to every patient by being up to date with whatever the next step for the patient is.
Excellent. Okay, so ease of training, obviously change anything in a practice is difficult. Charles, can you just let me know what training or onboarding support that Dentally offers, please?
Okay, and this is the part where I'm most confident in with my background. Okay, look, we admit that change is absolutely scary, and to commit to a new PMS requires a lot of confidence that you will be supported throughout the whole process. Couple that with staff turnover being one of the largest pain points industry-wide, you're going to need not just a PMS, but a brand like Henry Schein One that can provide both that support both during the initial conversion and ongoing. With Henry Schein One's decades of experience and track record of world-class support, we can afford that peace of mind with our plethora of established support networks. First off, Dentally itself will have a very short learning curve for experienced practice staff. As mentioned earlier, as a Henry Schein One product, its features and workflows are heavily inspired by popular PMSs like Oasis and Exact, so there will be a lot that is familiar. But going forward after that, whether you're a self-learner or a new employee to the practice, we have an abundance of resources available. We have Dentally Academy, our e-learning platform, which provides in-depth training that's catered to your specific role within the practice. Our Help Center provides hyper-specific support on every feature that is currently or will be shortly available in Dentally. Then we have our Dentally community, which is a lively forum that lets practices have conversations with other practices on Dentally and Henry Schein One team members. Of course, there's Dentally's world-class support, which is also located locally here in Australia, with extended business hours to let you feel covered and are available either via phone or live chat. Finally, there is always training throughout your journey, not just when you transition to Dentally. There's the initial training you receive from our experienced staff of training consultants and customer success consultants, to then going on to your ongoing webinars and new content on Dentally Academy that will keep you in the know of best practices and new features in Dentally.
Okay, so yes, that's your thing, Charles. Now, in one sentence, why should a practice choose Dentally for them?
Very loaded question, because there is obviously a lot on offer with Dentally that it's difficult to be just summed up in one sentence. So instead, I'd leave you with a statistic from our Elevate program. Practices on Dentally, backed by Henry Schein One's almost 40 years of software excellence and support, and that actively engage with our customer success consultants through our Elevate program, have seen an up to 19% revenue growth by the end of their first year.
I think that was a great sentence, Charles. Thank you so much. So thank you, Charles, for joining us today. For more information about Dentally from Henry Schein One, please see our episode show notes. Thank you so much, Charles, for joining us today. We've really appreciated you sharing what Dentally has to offer.
Thank you, Michelle. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. That wraps up part one of our special series on practice management systems. We've explored Dental4Web, Zavy 360 and Dentally, but we're not stopping there. In our next episode, we'll be comparing 3 more platforms: Core Practice, Exact, and Practica. If you're still weighing up your options, this second part will give you even more insights to help you choose the right system for your practice. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it. See you next time.